The letter that Brooks Cabina cites here is dated July 15th, and this is the letter from the president of enforcement, Jonathan Duncan. He wrote that his staff, quote, received information that Mr. Wade arranged for, offered, and or provided impermissible payments, including cash payments, to at least 11 men's basketball prospective student athletes, their families, individuals associated with the prospects, and or non-scholastic coaches in exchange for the prospects' enrollment at LSU. What I would like to point out is that the date of that letter is July the 15th. July the 15th also happens to be the day that one-time LSU silent commit Moussa Cisse formally signed with Memphis. Go back and look at his Twitter. Made it official. There's the picture of Moussa Cisse signing his letter with his Mr. Basketball trophy right there. At the bottom, you'll see, oh, look at that date right there, 4:15 p.m. on July 15th, 2020. The same day that LSU got the letter from the enforcement staff alleging Will had arranged for payments to 11 players is the same day that Moussa Cisse signed with Memphis. So there's a very easy connect the dots between what happened with Moussa and with Dick Vitale making this story public. Whether Dick Vitale was trying to poke LSU in the eye or whether this was a net effect of his tweets based on information he had gotten, whatever, it's undeniable. The timing is undeniable how it syncs. Here's a couple of things from the story that I'll say. And I want to be very clear about this because I have been very clear about the Will Wade situation from the onset. And I have not wavered about this. And in many respects, to me, this feels like Groundhog Day. Because a lot of this is stuff we've already known. It's just sort of crystallizing a little bit. Dates and timelines and stuff. We know the NCAA is investigating Will Wade for alleged payments to recruits. Right? That's not new. We know. We've known the NCAA has been investigating that for 2 years now. Okay? Like, it's not new. We also don't know of any evidence yet. Until then, it feels like we're all waiting for this sort of inevitable shoe to drop, and LSU fans are sort of holding on. And anytime you see a story drop with Will Wade's name in the headline, it's like, is this it? Is this the one? But I want to remind you of my position on the whole thing. I am not now, nor have I ever, absolved Will Wade of wrongdoing. I have never and will not say uncategorically, Will Wade didn't cheat. LSU didn't cheat. There's nothing nefarious going on. I've never said that. I have my opinions. I think a lot of people have opinions. But I will also point out that the player in question with respect to the, quote, strong-ass offer was Javonte Smart. Javonte Smart was held out of the regular season finale against Vanderbilt. He was interviewed by NCAA investigators and LSU compliance officials, was allowed to continue playing his freshman year. He played his entire sophomore year and is now back at LSU for his junior year. Naz Reid is a player that was also referenced on those wiretaps. But it wasn't Will Wade, it was Book Richardson, an Arizona assistant, talking about a recruit that ultimately signed with LSU. Naz Reid has said adamantly, it didn't happen. There was no payment. So you have a he said, she said type scenario. Who do you believe? I don't know. What can you prove? I don't know. You don't know either. None of us do, because we haven't seen any of the evidence that the NCAA has. And maybe the biggest peg in this entire scenario is Will Wade. He's still coaching. I mean, Will Wade is still there. Do you have evidence of what is being alleged? I don't know, but we'll find out in time. What I also know is there have been many instances of things that looked very bad. The optics looked very bad, and nothing happened. Cam Newton. His dad solicited a $250,000 payment for his son's commitment. Cam Newton played the entire 2010 season, won the Heisman, won a national championship, was the first pick in the draft. He's won an MVP, played in a Super Bowl. He's now with New England, wearing really funny clothes still. And nothing ever happened to Cam Newton or Auburn. Remember when Johnny Manziel was up in a Las Vegas hotel room surrounded by memorabilia, signing all that stuff? Do you think Johnny Football was in that Vegas hotel room signing all that memorabilia out of the goodness of his heart without receiving any compensation? I don't. But what can you prove? Johnny Football played that whole season. I think he might have missed a half. Remember when D. Liner was at Alabama and he flashed wads of cash on his IG and then deleted it? I mean, do we think that D. Liner has a wealthy aunt that just gave him a whole bunch of cash because? Maybe. Probably not. Nothing ever happened there. My point is there's plenty of instances where the optics are bad, but what can you prove? And as of now, we've been waiting 2 years to see proof of Will Wade's involvement in this alleged circumstance, and we haven't seen it. It's not to say it doesn't exist, but I'm becoming more and more skeptical of what the NCAA might have because they've waited 2 years to try to produce a case against Will Wade. They've been unable to do it, and now they're referring it to this independent panel. With respect to... so that's where I stand on the Will Wade situation as a whole. That's where I've stood from day one, and I've not wavered. With respect to this report, a couple of things. The NCAA alleges that Will Wade was slow playing them, that Will Wade was not giving them the information they want. And you heard Brooks Kabina say a couple of things there. Attorneys were involved. They were soliciting it from Will Wade. It was 60,000 documents, and ultimately they had to get attorneys involved. One of his attorneys had cancer. The other thing that I'll remind you is that Will Wade found himself amid these allegations when there were federal criminal cases ongoing. There are literally basketball coaches that went to prison. There's one line in here that I'd like to read to you. This is in Brooks's piece that I'd like to read to you. They got to go back to the time when Will Wade was refusing to meet with LSU. Remember, federal criminal cases were ongoing, and his name's mentioned. If there are federal criminal cases ongoing, and someone with NCAA enforcement wants to talk to you about things that could potentially be involved in a federal criminal case, who would you like sitting next to you? Anybody? Who would you like to have sitting in the room next to you, advising you? Probably an attorney, right? Let me read this line to you. The meeting took so long. This is the meeting that eventually happened between Will Wade, NCAA investigators, and LSU. The meeting took so long, Thompson's letter says, because Wade's legal counsel was working, quote, to ensure that the interview was conducted in a way that did not infringe on Coach Wade's constitutional rights. Y'all, Joe Oliva was trying to get Will Wade to talk without his attorney present. Will said, bleep you. And that's why he stood there with his arms folded for 37 days, because there were freaking federal criminal charges possible. You're damn right he wants his attorney present. I don't blame him one iota. Another reason why every single day you should get down on bended knee and thank the sweet baby Jesus that Joe Oliva is far, 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 far away from here. Because he was an abject failure in the way he handled damn near everything having to do with that athletic department. He and King Alexander did more harm to this university athletic department. Let me continue. So, once they finally allowed to let Will Wade have his attorney in a meeting with an NCAA investigator and attorneys for the NCAA, they had the meeting. And Will Wade was reinstated with a new clause in his contract that, hey, if we get an NOA, we can fire you for cause. Okay, cool. Will signed it. He's coaching. Then we find out it's taken a long time to get these documents. Will's attorney had cancer. The NCAA is investigating a lot of cases all at once. Some of these things take time to gather information and press and whatever it may be. Scott Woodward has expedited the process since he came in. Again, thank God for Scott Woodward. But the biggest thing for LSU, it's hard to imagine this, but the biggest thing for LSU, even bigger than what happens with Will Wade, is what is going to happen with the football program. No athletic director wants the NCAA snooping around their athletic department. Because if you open an investigation into basketball, you theoretically can ask for information related to anything, including football. Hence, the John Paul Funes stuff, Our Lady of the Lake, which was in 2012. Y'all, that's been 8 years. 8 years. And now that's coming up because the NCAA investigators are snooping around the Will Wade stuff. This pissant violation with Orgeron and impermissible contact that he didn't know about. Okay, my bad. We didn't realize, whatever. Brooks reported they took Orgeron off the road, self-imposed a 30-day recruiting ban. Okay, it's minor. But when the NCAA investigators, they're watching everything you do, they're going to catch everything you do. Or find things that you might have even not known or forgotten about. Which is why LSU is desperate for football to be resolved and done with. Not go to this panel. Because you don't want those things mixing. You don't want football attached at the hip with this basketball thing. So in some ways, I'd love to see football come to a resolution and basketball take another 6, 12, 18 months. Yeah, you don't want it hanging over your head, but Will Wade keeps coaching, winning. What are you going to do? Go tell recruits. I mean, if they had something, wouldn't they have laid it out already? So, just one person's take on the entire situation.